Congratulations for clicking this video, because honestly, this mindset shift is something that I wouldn't trade for the world. You know, it not only got me recovered from DPDR, it not only got me my life back, but now that I'm fully recovered, I can use the mindset that I'm about to show you to excel in all my endeavors in life. Like, it's truly unbeatable, and it works for everything. And it makes you the person you've wanted to be. Like, it genuinely puts you at the end. And I used to spend so much time trying to become someone, but I didn't know that actually becoming that person was internal. You don't need to make temporary action-based thoughts and actions, but you can just become that identity. And that's exactly what I talk to you guys about, and I show you guys in this video. Something I want to mention is this video is so good, like this mindset's so good that I even threw it into my course just as a bonus. I just throw it into my course just like on top of all the other mindset stuff that I teach them, just because of how good and how important this mindset is. And without this mindset, recovery is pretty much impossible. So it's really important that you guys are taking notes on this video, because if you're not actually implementing it, it's just going to be entertainment at the end of the day. So it's very, very important that you go out, you implement, you take action, you apply, and you change your life. Because at the end of the day, the mindset's everything. Everything stems off of your mindset. The mindset's the foundation, and then you can start implementing the other things that will change your life as well. Another thing I want to mention is I had to record this video 3 different times because the audio kept getting messed up. So I've spent hours on this video that I didn't even have to. Like, I remember I recorded this video the first time. It was one of the best videos ever. I was so excited to show it to you guys. The audio was messed up. I recorded it the second time. I was so mad. I was like, it was all my energy. You guys see how much energy I have? It was this for 40 minutes, 2 times. And then the third time I did it, and I realized the second time was so good that I just spent hours fixing the audio. So I got the audio fixed. The video might be a little bit glitchy, laggy, but it's the information and the message is what's important. And it delivers it perfectly, and it will change your life. So I'll see you guys in the video. This is why locking in never works, and why it won't work for you, and why it never worked for me. Because the truth is, recovery is not about what you do. It's never about what you're actually doing. It's not even about how you do it. It's about who you must become, the person that you must embody to get your life back. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you the real reason why locking in never gets you to where you want to be, and specifically will never get you recovered from DPDR. This is the exact identity shift that I made that completely turned my life around and made me lock in permanently. Okay, this identity shift, this mindset is what not only got me fully recovered, not only got me my life back, but I can now use to excel in all my endeavors in life. In every single aspect and area of my life, I have used this to grow and become the person that I am now. Okay, so the first thing I want to start off with is defining really what actions are. Actions are temporary. At the end of the day, actions are temporary and actions don't last. So saying things like, I want to recover, I do not want to smoke, I am locked in right now. These are actions-based phrases. And specifically, when you say I want something, that is saying to God, to the universe, it's putting out loud that you don't already have it. Therefore, no matter what happens, if you always say I want this, you are always at least this far away from getting it. You will never fully have. Okay, so the last thing we want to say is I am doing something, because that is a temporary phrase. I'm locked in right now. I am locking in. 60 days hard, 90 days hard, 75 hard. Let's go all in. That is the last thing you want to do. Okay, so when you continue to say these phrases, you will continue to stay in an action-based mindset. The action-based mindset is the mindset that holds you back from actually becoming. Okay, so let's go. Here are some examples I have involved here. So first is when I try to use this action-based mindset for quitting weed. Okay, so again right here, I do not want to smoke today. All right, that's action-based. I'm not smoking right now. Like, the thing is, when I tried to quit weed originally, this is what originally caused, my panic attacks, whatever that caused the DPDR. All right, and when I first tried to quit this, I was like, I'm gonna go all in. I'm quitting weed. 30 days. I'm not doing it. Like 60. I'm just gonna lock in for this week. Or I would just say these phrases like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And even when people would like offer me weed still, they'd be like, "You want a hit of this?" I'd be like, what strain is it still? I would still ask questions. I wouldn't just be like, I don't smoke. I would just say that. And what happened was every single time I took this action-based mindset, this process-based mindset, me saying, "Oh, I'm gonna lock in, quit all my vices, and lock in and dedicate my life," nothing ever changed. I literally quit weed. I was fully off of it for months, and guess where I ended up back? This is me smoking a gas mask. I fell right back into the trap in tenfold. And it reverses because you almost get so burnt out of like trying to take that action because subconsciously you know that this is only temporary. Look at me. I fell right back in the trap. I quit on my vices and I spiraled back the opposite direction as soon as I relapsed. Why? Because it was an action based mindset. Look right here. This is me when I first tried to recover from DPDR. I was like, I'm going to lock in for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it takes. I was like, 60 days hard. I'm going to recover from DPDR. And I did everything I could. Like, I don't know if you guys know too much about my story, but I had it for 4 years, okay? And like nearly 4 years, a little under. And there were so many, like, I tried the whole time. I tried the whole time until I knew the answer. But when I got this mindset, I was like, I'm going to go all in and do whatever it took. And I did that, but it didn't work. Why? Because what I was doing was an action-based process. Subconsciously, I was telling myself, if after these 60 days, 90 days, I am not recovered, it's not worth it. I was chasing the outcome with the actions instead of just basing off of who I was, which we're going to dive into in a second of what identity is. But this is what I was doing. And I went from, yeah, I would start to feel better. Yeah, I was like 60 days in, I was like 90% recovered. I was feeling great. But what happened? I fell back into the state. This is me. I look like I'm a paralyzed zombie crying dude, like come on. Like this was me. This is how I looked. Actions aren't the answer. I went down. Look at me. This is me when I tried to. So basically, I went all in. I was out of shape. I was even more out of shape than, I was a little less out of shape than this. I went all in to get my physique better. I was eating right. I was going to the gym. I was doing all these things. And guess what happened? That get to a point to where I was burnt out. I was tired of being hungry. I was tired of eating this diet. I was sick of the food. I was sick of going to the gym. And look how I turned out. Even more out of shape than I was to start. Even more out of shape. I was even more out of shape than I was originally. That's where it ended up. Look at me getting brain scans. All right. This is me when I tried to really overcome DPDR in another example. I was fighting for my life to overcome this, guys. Everything I had, I was like, I'm going to take actions. I'm going to fight for what I need in this life. I'm going to fight to get my life back. And it had me literally getting brain scans because I ended up thinking my brain was broken because I was like, why aren't these actions working? Actions aren't the answer. I can't say it enough. I used to speak in actions, and guess what? Actions faded. You heard from the weed example. I fell back even worse when I was sad from DPDR. This was like the very beginning when I was going through a lot of emotional things with like a breakup, all of that. It got even worse. Everything will get worse if you take action-based mindsets. Boom, even fatter from taking action. Even more messed up in the brain, thinking I was losing my mind when I was trying to, recover from DPDR. Had to get brain scans because I thought I was losing my mind. All right, so the action-based mindset doesn't work, but what does work is the identity-based mindset. Your identity is permanent regardless of what is happening. This is me at 3 a.m. getting up in the morning, and you might be like, that is not sustainable. That was sustainable for me. I made it work and I made it grow. I was waking up at 3, 4, 5 every single time. Why? Because this was just who I was. Okay? I am recovered. I am recovered. I am a recovered person. I am living by the end. I am not chasing something. That is just who I am. My actions reflect the fact that I am already there. You say things like, I do not smoke. If someone offers me a hit of weed, if someone offers me weed, instead of being like, nah, I don't smoke today, bro. I don't want that strain. Like, I'm good. Like, You just say I don't smoke. You don't fall back into the gas mask phase. Instead, you just go, I don't smoke. When you wake up in the morning, You don't go, I mean, I wrote I am locked in, but it's more of like an I am a locked in person. You can be a locked in person, but you're not locked in. That is just who you are. I wake up every single day and I say I am holding myself to a standard of excellence regardless of what is going on. You guys see me right here, locked in. This is what happened when I decided to wake up early. When I tried to wake up early and I was just locking in, that shit didn't last at all. I fell back into the same state. No progress was made. No, there was nothing that grew on top of that. But when I started to make that who I was, I am just someone who holds themselves to a standard of excellence every single day. I was smashing 3, 4, 5 a.m. wake ups every single day of my life. We come over here. My physique actually worked. And guess what? I sustained this level of shredded. How? Because this was who I was. Instead of saying I am getting shredded or I am going to get shredded, I am a shredded person. This is who I was. My actions reflect the fact that I am shredded. I am lean. I am jacked. The food I eat reflects that. My gym schedule reflects that. My hours of sleep reflect that. My step count reflects that. Everything reflects the fact that I am that person. Look at me. Physique started blowing up. This was how happy I became. I actually worked. I fully recovered. This was the day that I fully recovered. I was in Italy, and it was one of the best days of my life. I felt like everything changed, and I knew I would never be the same again, and I knew I unlocked this new person. How did I get here? Because I made recovery my identity. Instead of trying, I was already at the end. I released I released the outcome, and I continue to put in my inputs. Look, my physique absolutely skyrocketed. I did fitness coaching for almost a year of my life. I helped so many other people change their lives as well. Why? Because I was the identity of the person I wanted to become instead of chasing that person. Okay, so this is so important. The day I switched to the identity language, every single thing changed. And this is not just actions, but this is also your self-talk. I would say, I would have a thing. I had a thing on my ceiling and it said, I wake up motivated. I am a one of one. And even though my contacts aren't in when I wake up, and even though I can't technically see, I know how to start my fucking day. I know how to set the tone for what I want to do in the day. And I wake up and I know exactly how I'm going to attack the day. And that's what I did. Moving forward. Your subconscious mind. I know I talk a lot about the subconscious. This is so important. Your subconscious mind believes proof. And if you don't actually prove what you say to yourself, like what your self-talk is, with action to back it up, it's not actually going to become a reality. Okay, there's something called confirmation bias. If you don't back up what you're saying with proof, it's not going to be you. So it does not care what you try to do. Okay, this is why one of my biggest roles in my whole mentorship program is I say to people, no, I hope, no, I'm trying, no, this I should get there, like this should work. No, I am this person. I am doing what reflects the person that I want to become. It believes what you prove consistently. You have to prove it. And the winners in life are the ones who show up regardless of the fear. The winners in life are the ones who do something because regardless of how they feel. Anxiety and derealization are signs of misalignment with who you were meant to become. And you could sit there and be in a victim mindset saying, oh, all these things are happening to me. Or you could wake up and say, no, no, no. This is happening for me to build me and sculpt me into the person that I was truly meant to become. And that is exactly what happened in my life. I became the greatest version of myself. Physique exponentially exploded. I was going to Miami, working out with people on a different level. Boom. I would always prove it. I worked on programs for you guys. I mean, I spent so many hours of my life building for you guys because I would say to myself, the identity of me is someone who inspires, who helps others. So my actions had to reflect that, and I backed that up, and that's why I became that person. We go into books. Well, everyone else, when I was in school, when I was like a few years ago, when everyone else is in school, just on their phone scrolling, I was reading books like As a Man Thinketh, Reality Transurfing, learning about the mind. I read dozens of books because I was claiming the person who has control over their mind and their reality. That was the identity that I claimed, and my actions started to actually reflect that. And the truth is, guys, Actions are always going to be temporary, and identity is always going to last forever as long as you continue to claim that identity. Now, moving forward, this does not mean when you're thinking about recovering, a lot of people go, well, I gotta live like I used to be, right? I gotta live like I'm already there. That is the opposite. You have to live with who you are meant to be, not with by who you used to be. It's who you are meant to be at the core. Why God you put you on this earth. That's who we're embodying. So recovery moves forward into your highest self. That's it. When you can get to alignment with your highest self, every single thing it happens. Guys, I want you guys to understand something. When I was in the trenches of trying to get my life back, I journaled every single part of my process, and every single night I wrote that I hold myself to there's pages upon pages upon pages in this notebook, all right? Like, I could go on forever with these pages. So I have like multiple pages. Like, there's blood on this page. Blood on this page. Like, there's blood, sweat, and tears in this notebook. Why? Because every single night I wrote down, I hold myself up to a standard of excellence and nothing less. Every single thing I did was held to a standard of excellence. And this is just who I became. So I started to do the things that led me to a standard of excellence. And now, a huge thing with you guys is like when you think about like who is my highest self, what would my highest self do? Just think about how far can your brain conceive who you could become. If you can conceive and believe in a recovered version of yourself, and not just that, a version of yourself in your head at all, like any version, a millionaire, a jacked, shredded, in shape, the highest you, that means it already exists. You can't imagine a killer that doesn't exist. So the fact that you can conceive and believe it is living proof within itself that you can achieve it. You can and will recover, but only if you choose to go all in. This is the greatest gift you'll ever receive, but only if you believe that it's actually going to be the greatest gift that you ever receive. If you in your head have this limiting belief that this is the worst thing that's ever happened to you and that you're just living off karma from whatever you did and this is like the worst anxiety, why do you have to? If you in that victim mindset, nothing's going to change. But if you can have the mindset of like, I am going to use this to grow and actually weaponize this struggle to use it for greater success, I guarantee you, I know with 100% certainty, you will continue to grow. And you have this chance to rebuild into your highest self. You have something no one else has, which is this hardship and this perspective and knowing what it's like to have nothing now you can use to get everything you've ever wanted. Look at me. I first did things that was uncomfortable. I went to Italy. I was so scared of traveling. Look at me here. I started eating extremely right. I was eating ground beef, rice. I just grabbed this picture, but I was eating such good food that I never thought I could. Why? Because that was my identity. And I started living as the person I was meant to become at the core. I started going concerts. A lot of you guys have this weird preconceived notion that when I'm saying being your highest self, it's all just live like a robot, wake up at 4 a.m., eat chicken and rice, and go to sleep. That's not living as your highest self. Living and embodying your highest self means, what would your highest self do? A lot of you guys are big personalities. I am too. Like you like to go out. You can still go out as long as your habits are good. I went to concerts. I started going to music festivals, concerts. Look at me here, living my life. I was terrified of doing this when I started doing it, but I had to claim that identity. When I was there, I was not, going into this, I was terrified of going to this event. But did I go through? Did I push through the fear regardless of how I felt internally? Yes, and that is why I'm reaping the fruits of that. I pushed through regardless because I chose to claim that identity that I wanted, not the current identity that I thought I had. Make sense? Now, the loop that locks you in and that will change your life forever is that you first have to believe. Okay, you first have to believe that this version of yourself is possible. You have to believe it. If you can't believe in you, if you can't believe, it's impossible right there and then. I tell so many people, if you want anything in life, a good physique, if you want to start a business, if you want to recover from DPDR, without the belief, one, you're not going to try with all your effort because subconsciously you're going to know that it's not going to be worth the work. Two, you're not actually going to perform at your best level because there is a limiting belief that that is actually you. Like, you're always in your back of your mind, like, this is not me. You have to believe that it's possible, and you won't follow through when it gets hard if you truly don't believe in yourself. So don't even try if you can't believe in a recovered version of you. I'm saying if you don't believe it's possible, it's not. So you have to change your belief system. You can always change your beliefs. So it's always possible, but you have to change your belief system. And that's for you to do on your own. You have to change your beliefs. Right when you get that belief anchor and you believe in yourself and you know that there is a recovered version of yourself and you're ready to do what it takes, you then have to act on it. You have to take action. You have to take relentless action regardless of how you feel. And it's the days to where it's hard, but you show up regardless. The days where you don't want to do it, that you show up regardless of how you feel, are the days that matter the most. Anyone can do it when it's easy, but the reason why life gives so much reward to people who show up with persistence is because failure literally hates persistence. Action without any expectation equals success. So what happens is you believe it, you start taking action. The action gets so much that you start to prove that it's you. You start to prove that identity. You first believe the identity, you start to act on the identity, and then you start to prove the identity, and then that identity truly becomes who you are. You start to become that identity. And what happens is that identity gets so much there that you believe it, you act on it, you prove it every single day, you show up that you truly believe it. That identity starts to become who you are. That identity gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the stronger belief comes in, and that is just the person that you are. So the identity gets even stronger, that the belief grows, and everyone else believes it, and that is just you. And that goes for everything in life, but you can use this for your recovery. And here's some examples of how I use this. So, one, I was terrified of traveling. I was terrified of talking to girls. I was terrified of going out. I was terrified of doing any of this when I had DPDR. I had to go out of my comfort zone. So what did I do? I believed that. So right here, there's me in Italy with a girl. All right. How did I get there? I believed that I could do it. I acted on it. And I went to Italy. Literally, I went to Italy with just my friend. All right. I was terrified of getting on planes, all this shit with DPDR. I proved that I could become this person. My identity reflected that. And by the time I was done with the trip, the belief was so strong that this was just who I was. I went out and I actually, would go out and like actually talk to people after going through years of DPDR and isolating myself. I got myself out of my shell. Why? Because I claimed the identity that I wanted, not the identity that my rational brain, my prefrontal cortex thought I had. Then we go into when I started to run. I ran 5 miles a day every single day. And I used to say, and I ended up running a half marathon on the treadmill. And how did I get there? Why? Because the reason I did this was because instead of saying I'm going to try to run or I am running, I became a runner. Okay, so I believed, I acted on it, I proved it, my identity grew, and I got shredded, got in the best shape of my life. And that's how I became. This goes for all working out things. Like, I believed that I could get in the best shape of my life. All right. I believed that I could get shredded. I believed that I would have a good physique. I believed that's who I could become. I acted on it. All right. I took the actions required to get in the best shape of my life. I started to go to the gym, do all those things. And I really proved it by showing up regardless of how I felt, by getting the proper sleep, by maximizing every single solitary controllable in my life, meaning my nutrition, my steps, my sleep, everything was fully maximized. My stress, all of it. That became my identity because everything I was doing was maximizing it, that was just who I became. And then I did that for a long enough period of time that I actually got the results that resulted in this stronger belief because everyone could see it. Everyone could literally see the transformation right in front of them. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you can start with the belief, at first, you're not going to believe in yourself. Then you're going to start taking action and you're going to start noticing results and you're going to start believing yourself. I mean, at first you have to believe in yourself a little bit. So you get that first initial belief, you start taking action, you start believing in yourself so much more. People see how much you believe in yourself and that your life changing right in front of them, that they start to believe it for themselves and they start to change their life too. And I mean, they start to see how much your life is changing that they want to change their life too, because they can literally see how much you're changing in front of them. And what happens is you change so much that everyone starts to believe that you are this person and that is your true identity. Okay, so this goes for everything. When I wanted to start this business, I wanted to help as many people as possible. How do you think I could have gotten you to watch this video if I didn't believe in myself? Hell no. So I first had to believe with 100% conviction and certainty that I could run this business, that I could change lives. And I had to be the person setting the standard, setting the bar straight, the person that everyone else was inspired by. Do you think as someone who was at rock bottom, I could ever imagine myself this person? No, but I had to change my belief system on what is possible when I realized that anything I could conceive and believe I could achieve. And that's what I did. I took action on becoming this person and I proved it. That became who I was. I got an even stronger belief. So the action that I took, I posted 3 videos a day for months, 0 views, 0 likes. No one gave a shit about me. People made fun of me. Everything. I lost friends, everything. I showed up because I believed in myself. I started to prove it because I showed up regardless of what my brain told me. There was nights I couldn't sleep doing this. There was nights where I thought I was losing my mind. There was nights where everyone was putting me down, where everyone was laughing, saying I wouldn't make it. I didn't go to college. None of this shit. I knew. I just knew it would happen. And I proved that. That became my identity. And what happened? I started gaining success. I started to change lives. And that's who I became. And that's everyone else started to see that I changed lives. So the stronger belief grew. Everyone else saw it for themselves. And that became the true identity of who I was. And something I want to mention is that you can't have excess potential and excess importance. The belief, act, prove identity cycle only works if you're not gripping on the outcome. You have to have the inputs with the urgency that you need what you want tomorrow, but with no expectation on the actual outcome. So your inputs, that meaning if I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life, all right, say I'm really overweight, my inputs need to reflect that I need to be shredded by tomorrow. I need to eat in a perfect calorie deficit, go to the gym, everything, 10K steps plus. I need to show up every single day like that. But if in my head I'm like, if I'm not shredded by next week, by next month, by 3 months from now, I'm going to quit. That's not my identity. Therefore, I'm gripping too hard on the end result that eventually I'm not going to get there. My cortisol is going to raise. I can't think clearly. I'm going to do things and act differently because I'm desperate. The same thing goes with everything, with business. If I did this business for money, do you think I would have changed any lives or gotten any results or made any money? Hell no, because I wouldn't have actually gotten results and I wouldn't have actually had value to give. But the only reason I can get results is because I don't give a shit about the results. I detach from the outcome and I only focus on the inputs that I'm doing every single day. This is who I am, regardless. Until the day I die, I will show up, I will post videos, I will inspire, I will help people, and I will pull myself to a standard of excellence every single solitary day because that is who I am. And even in your head, when you're trying to recover from DPDR, that's exactly how you have to show up. And the thing is, with this mindset, it might be scary to let go, but that is when the results will come so quickly. You want to recover from derealization? Make your identity the fact that you're already recovered. Don't expect to recover. Don't care about recovering. Just be so in line with your goals. Love your goals so much that it really doesn't matter if you feel DPDR and anxiety because you are living life to the fullest. That's how you should be. And you should in your head be like, I could be in a state for another month, 2 months, years. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm accomplishing my goals. I have good relationships. Every part of my life is maximized. It shouldn't even exist at that point. That's the thing. It doesn't exist when you build a new life and when you change your inputs and subconscious programming works on your favor. There is something called auto-suggestion, and the reason I wrote down in my notebook that I hold myself to a standard of excellence every single solitary day is because auto-suggestion takes course when every single action you do is up to a standard of excellence, meaning the greatest, highest version of you. Meaning every single time I wash the dish, I put it away. I put the dish, every single time I ate a meal, I washed the dish, I put it away. Every single time I would run, that last mile, I gave it my all. Every single time I was in the gym, that last rep was 100%. So my subconscious mind had no choice but to adhere to the fact that I was a fucking killer. And that is why I really became the person that I am now. And with that being said, guys, you are already who you've always wanted to be. You've already who you've always wanted to be. The thing is, we always chase external things. And that is the biggest problem is like, we always chase the end. We always chase the end. And we never get there because we're never in a state of having. All right. And that's something you have to change. We're always going to end up chasing external things. Whether it's like you need recovery to be happy. You need $1 million to be happy. You need to have a good physique to love yourself. But at the end of the day, you need to love yourself first and then to get these things. You need to recover first and to recover. Whenever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, and this was me, rock bottom, in the hospital, thinking it was never going to be real again, out of shape, losing my mind. Come to find out, I started to believe in myself. I started to take action, and I started to really find that from within. This version of me, version I am now, this picture was taken a few days ago. You know, I look more aesthetic. I'm happier, way happier. This version I am now wouldn't have been possible if I didn't believe in myself. And I actually became this person before I became this person. Meaning, I looked the way I did here. I felt the way I did here before I actually was in that body. Why? Because you have to become the internal state first. And you can always be happy from within. If you chase actions, if you take actions to feel a certain way, it's going to fulfill a never-ending void. You have to find that from within. Okay, so that's the biggest takeaway, guys. This video is honestly the greatest video on mindset I've ever heard, especially with DPDR. But the last thing I want you guys to do is to watch this video and to just go live your normal life. So what I want you guys to do is to literally, if you have to, go back and take notes again if you didn't take notes, because truthfully, this is the cornerstone to every single thing else you learn about DPDR recovery and about your process. This is the first thing, because every single thing stems off of your foundation and your cornerstone, which is your mindset.